Good morning, good afternoon, Anne Arundel County. This is Promoting Don't Get Fooled Again with Class. I'm your host, Anthony Bynum. The name of our production company is the Glen Burnie Players. So we have some great news. Episode 7 is here. It is here. It had some final tweaks, but it is here. I'm very excited about this episode. So just a quick recap of what you're going to be looking at. We start off with the celebration of Ferndale Day. After that, Our Back discovers the Glen Burnie Carnival. We had a lot of fun with that one. We follow up, or actually before that, is over Anne Arundel County, where Jack Turner returns to fly his drone for us after the Our Back discovers Glen Burnie Carnival, with a couple of other segments, the Anne Arundel Green Building Initiative, and also one of my favorites, North Lithicum trash pickup. So very, very exciting things that are going on with the Glen Burnie Players. This week's exciting too. This is going to be a great post. So we want to give credit where credit's due. For this post, we have a research from the article from the Saturday Evening Post magazine, very old, respected magazine, Wikipedia, the Glen Burnie Public Library, and the poetryfoundation.org. Okay. So we want to start off with, I always want to start off with people from history that I admire. With Independence Day right around the corner, we want to take a look at one of the most important founders of the country. Now, Ben Franklin is my favorite. I've said that before. But we're actually going to take a look at somebody else. His name is Samuel Adams. I'm going to share my screen first. And I just want to bring him in. There we go. I'm sure Mr. Adams won't mind. So, Samuel Adams, let's look at the fundamentals. He was born September 27th, 1722. He died October 2nd, 1803. The article I read, as I noticed, from the Saturday Evening Post, and it highlights a man, the right man for the right time. He was born into a wealthy family. The Adams family actually made malt for beer. So they weren't actually brewers. They made the malt for beer. He attended Harvard University. His master's work was a thesis that was written called "It Was Lawful to Resist the Supreme Magistrate." So a troublemaker was born. Let's continue. When he struck out on his own, he didn't do particularly well. He had a business. He got money from his father, but the business did not go well. He eventually followed his dad into the malt business, making malt, that is, not milkshakes, malt for beer. But he also went down the political path. His father was involved in politics. He went down the political path also. And matter of fact, one of the first posts that he held was that of tax collector for Boston. Fortunately for many of the clients, he didn't always collect the taxes. British Crown, they weren't too thrilled about that. So it left him with a great amount of liabilities. Fortunately, some of his wealthy friends bailed him out. So that brings us to the conflict, the great conflict with Great Britain. Now, the British Empire had finished the war, the French and Indian War, but the British Parliament found themselves deep in debt, and they tried to make up for it with all kinds of new taxes, and it hit the colonies hard. However, there was a problem, and the problem was taxation without representation. This is when the star is born. Samuel Adams is everywhere and nowhere. He's the one talking to people at the taverns about this tyranny. He's the one talking to farmers about we should not allow this to happen. At all the same time, he was also very careful to erase his fingerprints. He didn't want folks to know, or people in power to know. So as he goes down this path, he has a friend in Paul Revere, and he has connections, and he tells, apparently they work something out, because Paul Revere knew what to do if the British sailed on Boston Harbor. It's a amazing story. He just came into his own at the right time. Now, there was a lot more that happened before the American colonies became a country, obviously. But he was the guy. He was the guy. In fact, when we talk about secrecy, his brother John, who was the second president of the United States, saw him burning some papers one day. It's not clear when this happened. And he said to him, he said, well, you know, what are you doing? And Samuel explained, whatever becomes of me, my friends shall not suffer from my negligence. So this guy knew how to keep a secret. He knew how to keep a secret. Again, he was the right man at the right time. So let's continue on. I'm going to stop the sharing. Just take 1 second, please. Okay, let's continue on. So now we're at the part of the segment, the show, where we like to talk about something of consequence here in Anne Arundel County. I had planned to take a look at the Arundel Mall. It has a history there. It's in Glen, Burnie. But while doing my research, I came across a documentary that was actually done by students at Glen Burnie High School. Now it's hosted, I found this, it's hosted on the servers at the Glen Burnie Public Library. And I'm going to put that link in there too. It's very well done. It's about 12, 13 minutes. It gives the whole story of Glen Burnie. So we'll just kind of cover the highlights here. Let's see where we start. Yeah, okay. So it really starts with the prehistory of Glen Burnie. See, this was actually done in 1988 for the Centennial, but the prehistory of Glen Burnie goes back to 1759. There was a company, it was called the Curtis Creek Furnace Company, and they made pig iron from charcoal. That's what they did. So they were around, wasn't a whole lot else going on at that time. One of the first families to be in this territory was the Glen family. And there was a gentleman, his name was William Wilkes Glen. And he was a part of the founding family of Glen Burnie. The town is actually named after the family estate, Glen Burnie. But it was his brother John who started subdividing land, okay, inviting people to come in. It took a while now. It didn't just happen. It didn't just happen. But the location is really ideal. It's not far from Baltimore, about 15, 20 miles. Of course, we know about the connection with DC, Washington, DC. Some other highlights here. So the Glen Burnie Improvement Association was created in the early 1900s. It actually started as a result of a need. See, there was a railroad in Glen Burnie, so people can come and go as far as getting into Baltimore where people work. But there was a problem because the men were always getting dirty, having to walk to the railroad tracks. And the women said the dresses got dirty also. And that's where the Glen Burnie Improvement Association came in. I think we've already talked about that a little bit, or rather talked about the idea of the men getting together on the steps of Arthur Hamlin to talk about the importance of doing something. And what did they come up with? The Glen Burnie Carnival. In fact, Carnival starts in a couple weeks. It starts always towards the end of July. So we cover that aspect, a very important aspect. Also, in World War II, there was a place called Saunders Range, where some of the men were used to help to train up for that calamity. The 1920s was Glen Burnie High School. 1959, Arundel Mall. So there were other malls in the country, but the beauty of Arundel Mall, it was the first enclosed mall in the entire country. That's their claim to fame. They're still around too. I pass it every couple of days. So what I want to do is I want to close with some sort of poem, because we would like to take a look at the speech or poem at this part of the show. And something needs to be appropriate to the time. After all, Independence Day is in a couple of days. So the one I found that I like is called I Hear America Singing. It's by Walt Whitman. We've covered Walt Whitman before. So here it goes. I hear America singing the varied carols I hear. Those are mechanics, each one singing his as it should be blithe and strong. The carpenter singing his as he measures his plank or beam. The mason singing his as he makes ready for work or leaves off for work. The boatman singing what belongs to him in his boat. The deckhand singing on the steamboat deck. The shoemaker singing as he sits on his bench. The hatter singing as he stands. The woodcutter's song, the plowboy's on his way in the morning, or at noon intermission, or at sundown. The delicious singing of the mother, or of the young wife at work, or of the girl sewing or washing. Each singing what belongs to him or her, and to none else. The day what belongs to the day. At night, the party of young fellows, robust, friendly, singing with open mouths their strong, melodious songs. Again, that's Walt Whitman, I Hear America Singing. We want everyone to have a happy Independence Day. The links will be at the bottom of the social media posts that we're about to make. So for everyone here at the Glen Burnie Players, bye-bye.